Hello everyone, my name is Lion Gamer and today is my first Cardfight Vanguard video. And before we jump straight into it, let's celebrate first the release of DBT08 Minerva Rising and with a comeback of Maelstrom, Liquire, and of course Minerva herself. And let's start off with Dragon Empire and the new right line Shoujo Doji. His right line allows with a great one. Check the top 5 cards of your deck and bind one stealth named unit, and the other stealth named unit goes to his soul. Whilst the G2 allows you also to check the top 5 cards of your deck, but instead of binding one of the stealth named unit, it can be called the Vanguard. Shoujo Doji himself allows you, by binding 2 stealth units from your soul, to choose 2 of your opponent's rear guards and bind them as well. This allows you to go around effects like Brick Star, which cannot be targeted by the effect, and other cards which also has that kind of effect. And his second skill, when this attacks a Vanguard, you can, by paying counter bless 1 and by putting 2 of your rear guards to a soul, choose a stealth named unit from a bind zone and call the rear guard. So in that instant, this deck itself allows you to multi-attack to a maximum of 4 attack. But the biggest issue of this deck is that it also lacks in power value compared to many other decks, and they only draw power which has the unprecedent. So yeah, in my opinion, it's not gonna really impact the meta and will be a D-tiered deck. For the glitter deck of Dragon Empire Tamayura, she gets first a new Ririmi and Rarami cards for your deck to trigger the other broken toys. And with the addition of the new Fox art, Scarlet of Fluttering Evanescent Life, you get 2 cards from your soul out for free. These new grade 1 units create a lot of great combo attacks if you do it right, of course, but didn't really do anything that big, so it would stay at the B tier for now. And looking at the card pool for Dragon Empire, that won't be really changed for any other Dragon Empire decks, so let's jump right into Dark Stays. And first, with a new deck Liquire. First, with her right line, with Irina, her ability allows you to check the top 7 cards of your deck and choose up to 1 of them and put it in soul and shuffle the rest back to the deck. So that card alone allows you to fetch any piece which you might need. And for a grade 2, when this unit is run upon by a Pale Moon unit, you soul charge 1 and choose any card from your soul and put it in hand. Also a great card which allows to fetch anything from soul which you desire. Maybe a Persona Ride or an EPG, depending on the situation in your soul. And now for the skill of Liquire herself, count numbers 1 and put 1 card from your hand to the soul. Then you choose up to 3 cards with different grades from your soul and call them to Reguard Circle. And they can also be buffed by 5k if your opponent is also in grade 3. A very effective way to feed your board really fast by only paying 1 counter blast, which allows you to +2 on the board. And for a second effect, at the end of the turn, you put 2 rear guards to the soul to draw a card. Just a good way to save some of your rear guards for the next turn and get a draw out of it. Then also, one main focus of the deck is to have the order Hurry and Join Silver Foreign Servants. This order gives one of your rear guards the skill, when you Liquire Vanguard attack, you can put that card into soul and call anything from his soul to the field. So that means without the order you won't be able to have 4 attacks in that deck. Even beside Liquire, it has access to many other cards, like Breathing Dragon. By soul blasting 1, if it's called from his soul, you give the Vanguard the ability to buff the front row by 5k until the end of turn. Then she also got access to Trapeze Actress. When this card is placed, soul blast 1 and choose your Liquire Vanguard and it gains 5k until the end of the turn. So in combination with Breathing Dragon, you will have a 23k Vanguard. And besides from these 2, she also got a card called Uzelche. I can't really pronounce it, unfortunately, sorry for that. Just by calling her out from the soul blasting 1, you get a counter charge. Quite easy, right? There's also another card which is called Luxul Songster. If she's getting called out from the soul, she gains +5k, and on an effect with its boost, you just put her back to soul and draw a card. And she also got Rising Dragon, which allows you to on place put a card from your hand to the soul and draw a card, so meaning you can just fix your hand. And for the second effect, if you call at least 2 cards from your soul, that card gains 10k. And if even 4 cards were placed during that turn, it gains an additional 10k. So Rising Dragon is the star of a deck who have a big power attack swinger on all turns. But despite having some good draw engine, front row buffing, and a high attack beater, that deck relies on the order itself. Okay, yeah, you might soul charge it and put it in the soul because it can also be played from the soul, but there's not really a good way to search for the order. But even that is most likely the only weakness right now for the deck, so it will be a A tier deck. Moving on to the glitter deck of Dark Stakes. Chaos. Well, Chaos is a really interesting deck because it can abuse almost any generic Dark Stakes card, but you're really forced to only play one of each. And new cards are, for example, the Order, Song of Extolment can be heard. It's a great order which allows you to buff your Chaos Vanguard by 10k and adds 3 costs with drop to your soul. A fast way to increase the amount of cards in your soul just by 1 card. Then he also got a new grade 1 Mikani. Mikani allows you to put himself to the soul to get the grade 3 Mikani out of the soul. That alone you will have easy access to the grade 3 Mikani. And in addition to that, Mikani counts as a different name in your soul even if you have multiple copies of it. So you got no problem to run multiple grade 1 Mikanis because they are instantly different names. But still, even having those 2 great addition to the deck, it will, in my opinion, be a D tier. And also, like in Dragon Empire, in Dark Stakes there aren't really that many cards which change any other Dark Stakes decks, so it won't really have that much of an impact on the meta. Moving on to Brand Gate. And for a new right line archetype, I will call it archetype because I don't really know if it's pronounced right. Sorry for that as well. First, the right line itself is like the Ever right line. Both of them allows you to search for research order from your deck. And in that deck, you only need torrential energy research. That order on place allows you to check the top 5 cards in the deck and put 1 monster name card to the hand and the one other to drop. This alone allows you to fetch anything like your Persona Ripe, any monster cards which you need for Regard Circle, maybe also even a monster perfect card which you want to play, or even some monster name trigger units which allows you to have more defense options. Besides that, the order has also the second effect to rest itself to put any monster card from a drop to an order zone. But why do you need an order zone? Now there's an easy answer for that. If you just look at the skills of the grade 3 Archie. So first skill. When one of your monster cards is placed on a Regard Circle, you can put one monster card from also with exactly same name to the bottom of the deck, and that card gains 10k until the end of turn. So as you see, you will have the access to big power buff on your monster. And now for the second effect, when Archie detects, count plus 1 and activate all effects which are listed below. First, if your order zone has 3 or more research cards, you can choose any Regard with monster in its name and put it to order zone. Second effect, looking at the top 7 cards of the deck, you can choose any monster card and call it a Regard Circle. Quite a simple effect, but that also allows you to trigger the first effect very easily. So that deck itself has multi-attack of 4, but even having a lot of power doesn't mean it's really a good deck. The problem is, first, it doesn't really have any draw power. The only dropper which it has is like Waylos, the grade 1 monster card, and that's it. And it also really doesn't have that many defensive options, even having the order to search for it. It's still a quite solid deck which allows you to fix your deck by using the order. I think, in my opinion, it's gonna be a C tier deck. Moving on to the glitter deck of Brandgate Ever. Oh boy, Ever. As you might have seen it yourself, Ever in itself is a really great top deck. And it's even getting better with the addition to the new order. The world is a blue research lab. Its effect is on place. Look at the top 5 cards of the deck and put anything to the hand, which means you have potentially 2 top deck checks in one single turn, which allows you to have much better consistency in deck than ever before. It also has a great second effect. By soul placing 1 and resting 3 of your research labs in your order zone, which you will have in any situation. If not, then I don't know what happened. But doing that, you buff your Ever Vanguard by 5k for a turn. So now without any problem, you will have a 18k attacking Ever Vanguard. And now the new Obscudate, a grade 2 Obscudate. His skill are, if your order zone has 3 or more set orders, this unit gets plus 5k attack and plus 5k shield. So you have another great attacker and defender. And for its second effect, if this card was placed by effect, that card can attack the opponent's front row if you have 3 or more research orders in the order zone. So why is a great 3 Obscudate gets another crit on place? This card allows you to clear the front row if you want to. A niche option, but if it's really being used, we will see. It might come up with all those great additions to the Ever deck. That deck was still in the top S tier for the time being. And another Brandgate card which should be mentioned is a grade 3 unit, Eben Robust. When this unit is placed on Regard Circle by counter placing 1, you can search your deck for a set order, and if your order zone has another copy of it, you can add it to your hand. And for the second effect, when this unit attacks, choose 2 orders with the same name. If you did, this card gains 10k until the end of battle. A good card in general, which you can use in almost every Brandgate deck. But beside that, it doesn't really make any other Brandgate deck stronger, so there won't be any changes. Moving on to Hater Sanctuary and the new deck Minerva. Her right line, the grade 1 and the grade 2, allows you to check the top 5 cards of the deck and put 2 cards from among them to the soul. Also, those 2 allow you to call them out if they've been being soul blasted from your soul. This right now allows you to not only filter your deck by 4 cards, but also sets up your soul whole much easier. Now for Minerva, oh boy, she is a powerhouse. First effect continues, if your soul has a grade 3 Regalia card, the front row gets 5k for a turn. And now for the second effect, act, soul blast 1, look at the top card of your deck and either put it back or into the soul. Just by soul blasting 1, you get access about the information of your deck. And for the very last skill, if this unit attacked a grade 3 or higher Vanguard, counter blast 1 and soul blast 3, and by discarding a Genesis card from your hand, you can restand Minerva and it gets drive -1. A really great Vanguard restanding effect where you don't really lose anything. The Minerva deck has also the Genesis card Angelica. Her ability after she battles by soul blasting 1, you choose Vanguard and then bust it by 5k and put itself into the soul and also countercharge. So Angelica allows you to make space so that you can call out Chamomile after Minerva restand. By abusing those effects allow you to have 5 attacks against the opponent. So everything in short, Minerva has the potential of having a 23 Vanguard attack by herself and big power swings on her 4th or first turn if your opponent is on grade 3 already. That deck also can abuse cards like Dream Angel to put the cards from drop to soul, or also by using Kyber to add a little bit more consistency to the deck. The only issue which this deck might have is that it is really counterblast heavy just by for your restand and for calling Chamomile out from the soul. And it also doesn't really have that many draw options. Despite those weaknesses, it is a solid deck with high power attack, which is why I think this deck will be a A tier deck. Moving on to the glitter deck, Tigreya. Tigreya's first support card is the new grade 1 Maple. This grade 1 can also be called out from a drop zone like the grade 2 Maple. The only difference is you have to Persona Right to call her out, which is really bad because it's quite weaker than the grade 2. It's understandable, so it can't be really abused by many other decks. But the second effect is when one of your units in the same column is stand, you can restand her as well. Then she gets retired at the end of the turn. So yeah, the grade 1 Maple really suits the deck well because it revolves around restanding either the Vanguard or the Riga. And for the second card which supports the deck is the Order, Dark Magenta of Blooming Hatred. If this card is being placed on the Order zone, counter plus 1 to draw a card. And for the second effect in the Order zone, if you have a grade 3 Tigreya Vanguard, by putting this Order to the drop zone, you can choose any grade 3 Tigreya card from your hand and write it as name. That means it allows your deck to have access to Dark Tigreya on the regular grade 3 turn. But the upside down is that it doesn't really activate Persona Right. So yeah, that's all for support Tigreya will get. It won't really change anything for the meta for her. It might even bring it to a little bit weaker side. She will be, unfortunately, be a C tier deck. Now another card which comes out in the Cata Sanctuary pool is Grand Grace. His effects are on Vanguard Circle continues. Your Persona Right buff effects not only increases the front row but the back row as well. And second effect, Counter Blast, Soul Blast 1, draw a card and choose one card from your hand, call it the back row, center Vanguard Circle, and that card gains 10k and can also attack from back row. And for the third effect, at the end of the battle your back row Vanguard attack, put that card into soul and draw a card. So the combination of the second and third skill allows you to not go minus on the fourth attack and having huge power lanes if you Persona Right. The only things which I'm not really a fan of is that this card mostly relies on how you abuse the generic Cata Sanctuary cards. That deck depends heavily on how you build the deck, so that card itself will be most likely, in my opinion, a solid C tier. Now moving on to the last nation, Stoicheia, and with a new right line, Maelstrom. First as right line, the grade 1 Teo allows you to search your deck for the other card, Judgment Maelstrom. You can only use this by having a Maelstrom Vanguard, and by placing this card in the other zone, you can activate all effects below. First, you choose any Aqua Force or Tear Dragon from a drop and call it the Vanguard Circle. And the second part of it, you choose any of your Vanguards and it gets plus 5k until the end of turn. Each other of that are in the auto zone. So if you have multiple copies in the auto zone, you will have a huge buff on any of your Vanguards. So in the grade 2 in right line, Algos allows you to check the top 7 cards of your deck and put any Aqua Force or Tear Dragon card from among them and call it the Vanguard Circle. Now let's look at the grade 3, the main actor of this deck, Maelstrom. By discarding one card from your hand, you can choose any Tear Dragon or Aqua Force unit from your soul, called the Vanguard Circle, and add a skill to it. When this unit attacks, the opponent's grade 3 or grade Vanguard, if it's the first battle, by Counter Blessing 1, restand it. And at the end of the turn, the card which got called by this effect goes back to the soul. So with that skill alone, you have 2 attacks on the Vanguard set in stone. And now for the second effect of Maelstrom, if this unit attacks the Vanguard, if it's the 4th battle or more, you draw a card and choose any of your opponent's Vanguards and retire it. So by using the first effect and having any other Vanguard, you will have 4 attacks set on and will have access to the second effect at all times. With Maelstrom, it has access to Wheel Sword with a skill. After it boosted Soul Blast 1, you choose 2 of your Vanguards and swap the positions. And with the addition of the card Title Soul, you're also able to buff your Vanguard by Soul Blasting 1. As you can see, this deck revolves about having multi-attacks on Vanguards like Blackbird. With one difference, your Vanguard doesn't really have to be the last attack of your turn. Okay, it doesn't really have the guard restriction like Blackbird, but that itself allows you to put the trigger effects on the Vanguard and set all of it onto the Vanguard. There's also another thing that I should mention. Because some of the effects revolves around choosing a Tear Dragon as well, and not only an Aqua Force unit, it is really certain that you use Inlet Pulse Dragon. But for all of you who don't really have Inlet Pulse, there's also another card which you can use in that set, and it's called Troll Line Race Dragon. Because Maelstrom deck has a lot of common like Blackbird deck, it will be in the same tier, a B tier deck. And now for the Glitter deck, Oroba. The first card which we will see is the Order Call to the Shining Stage. That card is similar to Condensation, just by Soul Blades in one you can call anything out of drop zone. Other than the difference, if you have a Redolina rear guard, you can call a plant token. That's all what that card does, so it's not really a special order, but a niche way to get access for cards to drop zone and calling another plant token. Besides that, the deck also got, of course, a great Redolina. The first effect allows you to get a Momoka token unit at the beginning of your main phase if you don't have one for free. And the second effect from hand, at the end of battle that your unit with Redolina in its name attack, if your opponent's Vanguard is graveyard or higher, retire the Redolina unit and then a Momoka unit and call herself a reverse circle. She also gains a power buff equal to the power of the Momoka token, which you retire for that card's ability cost. So with this card, you get another additional attack with a high power swing. And another card which might be worth mentioning is Full Blown Dragon. If you have a Glitter Vanguard, you can put her to the soul and call 2 plant tokens. With no big effort, you get 2 plant tokens, which you will retire for Momoka token, of course. But those cards won't really change the deck that much, so it will stay at the lower B tier. And another thing which I should mention, that some of its care cards might also be used in other decks because it has effects which triggered by having at least 4 attacks. For example, Magnolia and Blackbird. So looking back at all those cards we now have, there won't be really a big much of impact in the meta, only with some additions for the A tier with Liquire and Minerva. But because there hasn't really been that much of playtesting yet in the English side, we will see as there might be some change in the meta. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching it, and leave some comments below to let me know what you think of the new cards and if you think that there will be some change in the meta or not. Please subscribe, and I hope I will see you next time.